Good morning. Happy Monday, December 12th. So here's some worthless news that who cares to use. Did you know Catherine Zeta-Jones said that she never thought her marriage to Michael Douglas would last this long? And how about the movie Pretty Woman? Did you know the original title for that one was $3,000? Because that's the money that Edward, played by Richard Gere, paid for Vivian, who was played by Pretty Woman Julia Roberts. Woohoo! Worthless news that you can't use. Brittany Griner, the WNBA basketball player who was detained in Russia on drug-related charges, she's been released and is on her way home. Good for her. We're happy to have her coming back. There's still other people out there that need to be released and, sent home too. So we hope our government officials are working behind the scenes to secure their release. The other thing is the flu. It's really hitting us now. I had to look up last year. Apparently 9 million people got the flu last year. 4 million were treated for the flu, and about 100,000 people were hospitalized. That seems like those numbers are going to be low compared to this year. Why? Well, I think they didn't do a good job or couldn't do a good job of coming up with the better vaccine to treat this year's flu strain. And also, let's be honest about it, we now, with COVID somewhat getting behind us, are much, much more relaxed in our behavior. So we're going to pass the flu on to others. Anyway, let's get to today's topic. So today's topic is you, the consumer. You need to be a consumer. You need to consider your premiums. You need to consider your providers. And you need to consider your healthcare expectations, all combined with the benefits and limitations of an insurance policy. Seems like a bazillion plans out there, with some good companies that we know about that are going to be here tomorrow and some other companies that are just upstart that may not be here tomorrow. That's something you need to pay attention to. Don't buy a policy just simply because the premium is low. You don't want to find in the middle of the year that company has gone out of business. Remember, that happened with Land O'Lincoln a few years ago. They stopped paying claims in July, they closed their doors in September, and all those people were transitioned, for the most part, to Blue Cross Blue Shield, but their deductible started all over again. So, as a consumer, one of the things to look at is what is the maximum out of pocket from an insurance company. For the most part, most plans are right around that $9,000, $9,100 plan. So, if you tell me, you know what, Mark, I'm perfectly healthy. I go to the doctor for preventative care and a sore throat or two during the year, that's it. Might be a good way to save some money by lowering your premiums and getting that higher deductible. On the other hand, if you tell me, I'm going to have a claim, I'm going to meet my maximum out of pocket, I want you to get to that maximum out of pocket as cheaply as possible. So to go out and to buy one of the most expensive plans that has, say, that $9,100 out of pocket, and you could be paying, double for it versus a plan that has the same $9,100 out of pocket, well, that might not make sense. But typically the cheaper plan is going to have a higher deductible. The more expensive plans tend to have a lower deductible. So in looking at this, let's consider, for example, let's say you're looking at a policy with a $3,000 deductible versus a policy with a $2,000 deductible, $1,440 to protect $1,000 in deductible. I've said this over and over again. That's why when you go to the casinos, they ultimately always win. So in looking at a policy, make sure your doctor's in the network, whether it's an HMO and even especially it's a PPO. People will tell me it's a PPO. That's right, preferred provider organization. But if your doctor's not a preferred provider in that organization, you will not get the negotiated price that the insurance companies negotiate up front. So unless you're willing to change doctors, make sure your doctor is in the network for the plan that you are looking at. Another thing to consider is drug cost. This lady comes into my office and she's all upset. She's got a $500 medication. And I asked her, why'd you purchase the policy? It was the cheapest. Well, you know what? If you had spent $75 a month more, your medication would have been covered with a $50 copay. So that was self-defeating. These are things that you need to consider as a consumer when you are buying an insurance policy. So every year people come in and they complain about their insurance policies. And I'll say, well, how'd you get this policy? Well, I called the marketplace. And the person at the marketplace enrolled me. And I'm like, that's exactly right. That's exactly what they're supposed to do. Enroll you. They cannot give you insurance advice. They cannot ask you what your health care is like, what you need. All they can do is say, I got 300 plans here. Which one you want? You like Blue Cross? Great. Here's a Blue Cross plan. You like a PPO? Here's a PPO. Oh, your aunt has Cigna? So here's a Cigna plan. They can't give you advice. That's why my number's at the bottom of the screen. And what do I always tell you? Week in and week out, call me. I'll help you find a policy that is in your best interest because you need to be the consumer. So, Mark, what's going on at the MLD Agency? Well, last week we ended open enrollment for seniors, and we worked really right up until the final hour trying to get people enrolled. We did a number of drug cards, did several Medicare supplements, a few Medicare Advantage plans, sold dental insurance last week, and also looked at some property and casualty for a client. So we've been very busy. I am expecting that we'll be busy because now we're really going to be focusing on the under 65 with their health insurance through the marketplace. So here's the number at the bottom of the screen. Don't hesitate to give us a call to find out what is in your best interest going forth for 2023. Lastly, 13 days till Christmas. Do you have your shopping done? Don't procrastinate. Until next week.